Well, we're here. Well, I think I'm in heaven, to be honest with you. It's like unbelievable. We're at the Ravenfield Ponds near Rotherham. I've never been here before, and I live 20 minutes away. Would you believe it? And when I say it's stunning, it's just one of them places where if you're not a match fisherman, you'd come here the rest of your life. It's just unbelievable. I cannot believe how beautiful it is. And although they do have a few matches here, we're not here to really match fish. We're here just to catch some fish. What we're fishing for? Well, we've been told there's crucians, there's Zide, there's tench, and there's a few carp. Not many. So, what we've decided to do today is I've left my feeder gear at home, would you believe? So that's not come with us, and what we're fishing with, we're going to fish with a short pole, and we're going to fish with a waggler. I'm going to show you the setups on the waggler, and hopefully we'll catch a few fish that way. And then, because there's reeds and everything down the side, we're going to be fishing a little edge line for later on, where we'll hopefully get some crucians and some tench. But trust me, this place is absolutely stunning. It really, really is. I can't believe you've got Barnsley that way, you've got Sheffield that way, you've got Rotherham just there, and you've got Doncaster that way, and it's nearly smack in the middle of everywhere. It's an incredible venue, as you'll get to see. So, it's going to be something a little bit different today, so let's find out what's in the venue. Let's find out how we're going to catch a few fish. I cannot wait, honestly. I'm as excited as anything, and obviously Ben is as well. Come on, pal. There you go. So let's go do it. Well, I've decided today what we're going to fish. I'm going to fish a waggler. Because it's mixed fishing, I might be catching roach, crucians, tench, skimmers, different species. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fish a little waggler, and I'm going to feed down the side by the reeds for short pole later on. There's no point, if you've got all this lovely cover, is not to feed it and use it. So I'm going to fish wherever my maggots go nicely. I'm going to loose feed maggots, and I'm going to fish a waggler, and I'm going to fish a waggler on the drop, falling through them maggots, because I could even catch some hide as well, which a fish that swims near the surface. So to set my waggler rod up, it's pretty straightforward really, but I'm going to show you what I do. First thing is, I'm using a 13-foot waggler rod. I'm using a 4000 reel with 0.20 sublime line, and that's a straightforward setup for waggler fishing. So the way that I set a waggler rod up is this. First of all, I get my line and I always cut it so it's flat. If you bite it, it flattens the line and you can't get it through the swivels sometimes. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to put a blocker on, one of these. It's called a feeder blocker, but actually you can use it for waggler as well. And I'm going to put one. And when you get them out of the packet, they've got a little wire with a loop in, and you put your line through the loop and you put the blocker on. So at this time I'm only putting one on. That's going to be above the float. Then I want an attachment to fix the float to. So I'm going to use one of these swivel feeder beads. And it's just a bead with a swivel on it, and that'll run up and down as free as you want it, or you can fix it with the blockers. That's straightforward. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a second. So now I'm going to go back to my stops, and this time, instead of putting one on, I'm going to put two on. Now you might say, well, why are you going to put two on? Because when you're casting, all the weight goes on below. So I'm now going to put two on. So I've got one towards the rod tip, and I've got two towards the hook, like that. And what happens is then you put them two on, and they will stop that swivel, like that. You can see that it's nice and fixed now. I've got two below, because when you cast, all the power goes onto them two. If you put one, sometimes it slips. Now the idea of that swivel then is this. I've got different size floats. I've got a 5, a 6 and a 7 BB with a fine insert that's fluorescent so you can see it easily. I'm going to put the middle one on at the moment as a 6. Now I always have one either side ready. And the idea that in the bottom it's all weighted, in the bottom of the float, most of it's weighted. I get the swivel, and what I do, I put it on the swivel, and that's the simple attachment. You can see it's just a straightforward peacock, loaded peacock with a nice fine insert. And that's the setup. That's all that I'm going to be doing. And during the day, if it gets a bit windier, what I might do is put the heavier float on, or if it gets lighter and the fish are coming shallower, I'll put the lighter one on. So I always have one either side of that, which I'm going to change between the two. So that's my float setup. So that's pretty straightforward. The next thing I do, I drop it in water to see how much terminal tattle I can put on that. What I mean by terminal tattle, I'm talking about lead shot going down. Now, because it's mostly loaded, I won't need a lot. So first of all, I'm going to put stots on. You might say, why aren't you putting shot on? Why not put stots on? I think stots are just easy, basically. So I'm going to put one on, and I'm going to put two on, just to see what it does. And what I do, I test it before I plumb up. And I keep dropping it in the water until I get it to where I want. That's not far off. But before I put the last one on, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a little swivel on. And one of these is it's a mixed eye swivel, and it's a size 14. And trust me, it's minute. And on that you can see there's a round end and there's like a narrow end. And where the round is, that's how I'm going to attach that to the main line. Now you might say, well, why am I using a swivel? Why not put a shot on? When you're casting a long way and you're fishing double maggot, it spins, and the swivel acts as two things. One, it stops all the tangling on your hook length and twizzling up, and it acts as the telltale shot. It actually acts as the shot, your last shot, which is like a number 10 or a number 8. And all I'm going to do with that, I'm going to fasten it, half a blood knot, onto the round part, and the idea then is I can snip it off there and I can put the hook length to that swivel, but the swivel actually acts as my bottom telltale shot. And all I'm doing all the time, I'm testing it. You've got to think on, when you've done this the first time, you never have to do it again. And I think that'll just take another number 8. Now I'll show you in a second where and why I put them shot. So once I've got the stot on like that, just keep testing it till you get to what you can see. Everybody's eyes are different, but I want to see only a right little bit of that float. I don't want to see it stuck up. I want it as low to the ground as I can. In other words, because my eyes are reasonably okay, I want it probably ½ an inch. Like that. See people with more stuck out, but everybody's eyes are different. But my eyes are okay, and I'm looking for that much, at most ½ an inch. And the way to do it, just keep testing it until you're happy. Keep testing it. There you go. That's not far off now. And I always do it, if I want it ½ an inch, I always do it to about 3/4, because I've got probably 6 or 7 foot of line, so the weight of the line will pull it down a little bit more. And then, when I've got that set up, I've got the float nice and perfect now. What I need to do is now, before I plumb up, is put my hook length on. So I've got my hook length tied. I've got 30 centimetres. It's an 18 to 0.11 sublime line. And all I'm going to do now is, I've got that swivel, and I'm going to get the loop through that swivel, like that. So I've got a loop onto a swivel. And I know that now won't spin, and it makes a massive difference. So all my shot there now is, I've got the float, I've got the stoppers either side that's going to stop it sliding up and down, I've got all the shot that takes on that float, and now I've got my hook length on, which is 30 centimetres to a little swivel. It's not going to spill up. What I've got to do now is plumb up and find the depth. So once I've got my float dotted down to how I want it, I've now got to find the depth. Now most times you go fishing, you want to be on the bottom, because that's where most fish are caught and most fish feed. One of the things with the waggler, a lot of people get it wrong. They're not quite sure what to happen. The easiest way is this. Now I know roughly, I've been told it's 6 to 7 foot deep. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to set it approximately 6 foot. And then it's about trial and error. That's all it's about, trial and error. So first of all, I think that's about 6 foot deep. Now I know it's dotted down. So the idea is, take your time. That's what you've got to do. So if you'll flick it out like that, you should cast it in, and the float has gone down, the plummet's on the bottom, I can't see the float. Now, take your time. A lot of people do this too quick. Now the fact is, I've left it a little bit, I can see the orange flow under the water. So the fact I can see under the water tells me I'm not deep enough, but I've not cast it in and wound it straight back. I'm giving myself time for the line to go straight up. So all you do then is come back in, and because it's under, I'm going to put a little bit more depth on. If I'd have seen it on the surface, I would have took a little bit off until you get to the point where you can just see it and it's dotted slightly on the surface. So you cast it, it's gone down, and it's come. Although the float is shotted, I'm giving it time, plenty of time, and it's just come back. Now I think but the fact it took time to come back and it wasn't sat there instantly on the surface tells me that that's the correct depth. And if you're not sure, all you do, you can come back, and what you can do, you can take an inch off at a time. And like I said, it's all about trial and error. Just take your time. It's really important. Cast it out, and you can see now it's just on the surface. I think that's the perfect depth. Once I've got the perfect depth, what I do, I take the plummet off, and I put the hook in my little hook holder like that, and I want to mark it on my rod. You can get a marker and you can mark it on your rod, or you can count the rod rings. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4 like that is 5 rod rings up from the end. As you can see now, it's level with that rod. Now then, I think that's perfect depth, but I want to be 3 or 4 inches over to start with. If it starts pulling, I might put more. If I start catching it shallow, I might take it off. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to put 4 inches in, or 10 centimetres, like that, and I know now that my hook bait is on the bottom. So that's how you find the perfect depth. Too many people rush it, they do it too quick. Take your time, let the lines come straight up from the bottom before you do it. Once you've got the depth, what am I going to do with my terminal tackle? Where am I going to put my stocks? Well, the first thing is my telltale shot. I've got a swivel on, so I don't need to change that. So the next one is going to be just a single number 8, and that's going to be roughly 30 centimetres above like that, and the next one can be 30 centimetres. But what I like to do, 30 centimetres above that, I like to put all the rest of the shot. So I've got a bulk, and I've got 2 droppers, or if I'm getting fish on the drop, what I'll do is put another dropper like that. So basically, I've got 3 droppers at most, and then my bulk. Now my bulk wants to be below halfway of the depth. So if I've got 6 foot of depth, I want the bulk about 2'9" from my hook. That way it can't get round my float when you cast out. And that's all you've got to do. There's no fancy tattle or anything like that. That bulk will go in, and then the 3 shot will drop, especially when you're fishing for roach, crucians, and eye that will be fishing on the drop, so your bait is falling through. So you want to bulk 2 or 3 droppers, and that's all you've got to do. So remember, but your bulk has got to be slightly less than halfway between the hook and the float, so it can't get wrapped round and get tattles. So that's what I think is a perfect setup. I'm 4 inches on the deck, and all I've got to do then, I've got my 3 droppers, and all I've got to do is go catch some fish. Right, bait I'm using today, I'm going to have some squeeze ready green, squeeze ready pellets. I'm going to have some corn, but the number 1 bait I'm going to be using today is maggots. So how do I prepare my maggots? Well, first thing is I've got my maggots from Tattle Shop. I've got 2 pints of reds, as you can see. The first thing I'm doing, I'm going to get rid of the dust. I'm going to take the dust off them. Quite simple, just get a riddle, get rid of all the dust, like that. Then what I'm going to do, put them back in my container, like that. And then I'm going to add some attractant. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some Sensate powder red. Now I'm a big believer in this, and I'm going to put probably, there's 2 pints there, so roughly a teaspoonful for every pint. So a couple of teaspoonful, there you go, 2 teaspoonful in, and that's all you've got to do. It's as simple as that. And then what will happen is now you can see straight away, you can see the the redness going in. I can smell the sensate already. I can smell it on the maggots. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to let them run about a little bit, get the sensate off. You can see them changing colour already. Look how ready they've gone already. And that's all you have to do. It's as simple as that. Honestly, it's as simple as that. I'm a massive believer in it, and I do think it attracts fish, and that's why I'm putting it on my maggots. Right, first cast of the day, and I put 2 red maggots on, and I'm 4 inches on the deck, and I'm going to fish. I've got my marker. I always fish to a marker, so I've got a little marker over there I'm going to fish to. When you pick a marker, don't one that you got to look for, oh, is it that piece of grass there? Pick something that's straight in your eye line. Like for me, there's some floating things there, and in the middle there's 3 or 4 little stumps, and I know as soon as I go like that, they're in my eye line straight away. I think that's right important. And then all I'm going to do, I'm going to see what's comfortable for casting. I cast it out, not like that. Start again. I'm going to cast it out, bring it behind me, cast it out, plop. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the rod tip under, and I'm going to wind twice, and I'm going to sink the line between me and what I'm going to be doing. Now then, that float's settling now, and it's going to go down with the terminal shot as we go through. I've not fed anything or anything like that, but I'm just going to feed a few maggots now. I'm going to get my catapult. Now, depends on where I'm going to fish, it depends on how far the maggots go. So I'm going to put about 20 maggots in my catapult, and I'm going to flick them out there. Actually, my float were about right for where they're going to go. So all I'm going to do now, to start with, I'm going to put like 2 lots in. That's it. And I'm going to try and surround my float with the maggots. And the idea of that is what you're going to do then, you're going to feed there all the time, feed that spot, just keep feeding it, and eventually, hopefully, the fish will come in. And that's what I'm trying to do. Now then, sometimes what happens is the fish are on the maggots and they'll come straight into the maggots, but sometimes you've got to go around the outsides and catch the fish. Sometimes you've got to a bit further where you're feeding, or a bit closer, and you've got to work it out. So my float is sat there now, it's settled down, it's really nice, and I'm just hoping we get a few bites. And I ain't got a clue what to expect. Like I said, it's first time I've been here. I really have not got a clue. But all I know is I'm quite excited. I'm right looking forward to it. And I've got a cup of tea somewhere. Well, it is, look. Got a cup of tea and see what happens. See if we can catch some fish. And what'll happen is now is I've got usually when you're maggot fishing and you want maggots to fall through, what you tend to be doing is you're feeding them all the time, feeding them all the time, feeding them all the time. And the idea is you get a continuous flow of bait coming through that are attractants. And if you just put quite a few in and then don't keep feeding, usually they won't come on it. So at most, every 5 minutes I want to be putting 20, 25 maggots in. 5 minutes later, 20, 25 maggots, all the time. Even if I don't bring it in and cast it back out, there's nothing wrong with keep feeding on top of your float. Because all I'm trying to do is attract fish into my peg to start with. Oh, there you go. First fish. What we got here? First fish. What we got? No, it has to be a perch, doesn't it? But that's the one thing about, oh, look at that. It's 3 ounce anyway. But that's the one thing about maggots. You catch everything. Yeah, nice start. Anyway, I'm happy with that. 3 ounce. Can't beat the old trusted perch. There's one thing for sure, they do like sensate. Get off, Ben. Oi, get out. So all I'm doing, basically, now I've got my line where my maggots go and everything, so all I'm going to do now, I want to overcast that area by probably 2 or 3 metres, and before it hits the water, the float, I break it, and you can see the shot land at the back of the float. And when you see the little dots from the float, you know you haven't got a tandle. And then I wind it back 2 metres onto the baited area. So one, as it lands, I see the dots from the shot, so I know I haven't got a tangle, and I wind it back onto the baited area because that's where I've sank my line. So my line's under the surface water where the wind is, or the drift and anything like that, and it's under the water, and then you loose feed on top of it, and that's all you've got to do. It's a simple way of fishing, and it's a great way of fishing as well. It's something that I don't do enough, but it's probably my favourite way of fishing. All my life I've tried not to have a favourite way of fishing, but if I were forced into it, I'd probably set waggler as my favourite way of fishing. Don't ask me why, probably because I've been brought up with it, and it's a way that, you know, because at one time, you know, years and years ago, when tellies were black and white and everything, of course there were no poles, so we did no pole fishing, so it were all waggler and stick float. That's what we did, and it's probably my favourite way of fishing, so I've just got used to it. And we don't do it enough because there's modern ways of fishing now with poles, feeders. It makes life a lot easier, I suppose, but I do love fishing with a waggler. And you just sit there every 5 minutes, you got indication, bite again, another little fish. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it don't get any better than this, does it? How beautiful this, feels like another perch. Feels like another one. Yeah, it is a perch. When it comes up, there you go, look. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's 4 or 5 ounce. And we're going to swing it. I think I better net that, to be honest with you. A bit bigger than I was expecting that. You know, Ben's interested all of a sudden, look. Hey, what's that? It's a perch. Don't get that, mate. It'll spike you. Looks like we didn't disgorge a job. Look at them. You don't get fed up with them, do you? So, once you get your mark, once you get your everything and you get your routine, that's what it is now, a routine. I've got my setup, I know how far I'm going to be out, and all you do now is get into that basic setup, organised, same routine. So all I'm going to do, put 2 maggots on again. I've got 2 maggots and an 18. It's barbless fishery, so barbless hook, which I've probably used anyway. And then once I've got my bait up, I know my setup's right. All I'm going to do, bring it behind me, cast it, overcast. I've seen the 2 drops, underline, 2 quick winds, sink my line, and I know I'm on the perfect spot. Pick my catapult up, 20, 25 maggots, fire them on that spot, and I'm fishing. Just perfect, just lovely fishing. And just sit there and watch it float. And I have a rest in front of me. When I'm waggler fishing, I don't use a backrest. I just put it on my knee, because usually if you're getting lots of bites, you'll be holding the rod anyway. There you go. Oh, missed it. Now that was really quick, that one, which tells me it wants a perch. So let's have a look. Oh, it wants a perch. Bait's marked, look. Bait's marked. So if you think you've had a bite, always change your bait. Again, just put 2 on. There you go. Yeah, one of the maggots were done then, which tells me it wants a perch, because they normally just kill it perch. When it's been bust, they don't normally bust it. So back behind me, cast it out, break, 2 winds on my bait, pick my catty up, and you see now I'm just getting into that nice routine where I know what I'm doing and I'm feeding all the time. And just sit there until I get a bite. Now I had an indication then, which tells me, there you go, look, on drop. Ooh, now, ooh, what's this? This is not a perch. I'm hoping this is one of them lovely eyes. Now that took it on drop, that. And the fact it's come to the surface pretty quick tells me it's an hide. So hidey eye, here we go. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Just take your time. Use bended rod. It is, look, yeah, one of them lovely eyes. Now that took it as it was settling, which is typical of hide. Look at that. Pound. Beautiful fish. Look at that. Oh, it's come out, which is saves me unhooking. Now, I wouldn't normally pick this up, but I'm going to show you. These are awesome fish. Oh, look at that. Beautiful, that. Now, the fact we're catching eyed like that is, I mean, look at that. I'm going to show you the maggots here. That was in the water 10 seconds, and look at that. It's absolutely, 2 maggots are mangled up, and it were almost like chub mangled. You can't believe how how mangled they are. But so 4 casts. We've had 2 perch. We've had a nice hide and missed a bite. And I wouldn't be surprised if that one that we missed wasn't that hide. Yeah, you knew, didn't you? You just knew when it went down, on drop, it was one of them hide. If we keep feeding maggots like this, we might have to shallow off. And that's one of the things we, when you fish a new venue, and you don't know what's in, you've only heard what's in, and yeah, another hide there, look. It's not as big as ones I've had, but I'm not grumbling. You never know what to expect. Oh, hey up, that got me. And oh, right, calm down, mate. Calm down. Well, that wanted that. Crikey, it's proper down that, and that were on drop. But that's one of the great beauties about fishing places you've never fished before, because you don't know what's going to happen. And I always think it's a really nice challenge. Like I've come here today, I've only heard what fish are in, but how they catch them is a different matter. And I think that's what's one of the beauties about fishing, is it's exciting, because you never know what's going to happen. Like when you go to venues regularly, you almost know what's going to happen. But I'll be honest with you, this is beautiful. So, what I'm thinking now, in my head, I'm thinking, right, I've had a few hide, but I've also caught some fish on bottom. Now, should I start thinking about fishing shallower? Because oh, see, that were another bite. There you go. I bet that's another one. Tis, look. Now, if these keep coming, I'll be fishing a yard deep or a metre deep, because these are obviously coming to maggots. Because these are fish that you catch shallow. You know, these are not bottom feeders. Look at that. That's beautiful, isn't it? And that's a pound again. Look at that. Beautiful. Look at that. It, again, disgorge. That's incredible, that. They don't half want them maggots. Wow, look at that. That's incredible. They really, really want that bait, which is nice. So yeah, so I'm in my head now. I'm thinking, right, a little bit longer, because if I keep catching these and I keep getting indications, I'm going to shallow off and shallow off till I find the depth that they want to feed at. But because I know there's that many crucians and tench and everything in here, I don't want to neglect them as well. So I've got to work out what I'm better off catching, especially in a match scenario. Same principle, just keep feeding like that. And I'm really aware of my float now all the time. All the time, and where I can get a bite on the drop straight away. And if I do, it'll be an hide. You can bet your bottom dollar. Now that didn't go, you see. That's on the bottom now. So, will I catch an hide? I haven't caught one on the bottom yet. That wouldn't say you won't. But there's that many other fish that I'm thinking in my head I should be trying to catch them, you know, everything. But And the easiest way to do it is to have another rod set up shallow. So if I came here again, I would definitely have two waggler rods set up, one for the bottom and one for halfway. And if I start catching a few wide, what I'll do is pick the shallow rod up, cast in, and you'll know nearly straight away. And then if you don't catch shallow, obviously the fish are lower than that, then you can pick your other rod back up. So knowing what I know already, in less than an hour's fishing, there's enough hide in here to have another rod set up at half depth. And that's like this time I haven't got one, but I've not even had an indication, so I'm hoping to catch something on the bottom. Hopefully one of them lovely tinkers or a crucian. So you've got to work it out what the best is, and the easiest way is to have another rod set up, fishing 3 foot deep, and then that way you'll find out if there's enough hide to keep at that depth. Or do you just keep catching an odd hide with a fish on the bottom, and you've got to work it out which is the best. And of course, while you're feeding, are the hide taking all my maggots that are falling through the water, so there's none getting to the bottom. So that's another problem I've got to try and solve, is if there's enough hide in that will eat all my bait. So that tells you that I've either got to up my bait, or I've got to come shallow and fish for them. So one of the things I've always told people and I teach them is the fish tell you everything, and what we've got to do as fishermen is understand what they're telling you. And that's what I always try and do with fish, is try and work out what they're telling me. And at the moment they're telling me that the hide want to be shallow, and they're also telling me they could be eating all maggots, so none are getting to the bottom, which means I've either got to up my bait or I've got to come shallow. And you as a fisherman have got to just work it out. That's one of the things that I'm a massive believer in. Try and understand, and I think the best anglers work that out. They work out what the fish are telling them. Like, I've just caught 2 hide, I've now got to the bottom and entered a bite. So I might have to put more maggots in, but will that drive the hide away? But all I know is, if I'm catching plenty of hide, I want to be catching them because they're £1+ each. And then when I start fishing shallower, I'll probably cut my bait down, not fire as much in. Now I know there's some hide there because my float were on the bottom then, and I fired some maggots in while it was still, and it went like that, which told me that there was fish going for the maggots near the surface. Now then, I wouldn't be surprised this cast if I catch an hide on drop. Not like that, I won't. No, I'm not going to feed this time. Let's see if I can catch an hide on drop. No, I didn't catch an hide. I didn't get an indication. So now on the bottom, so now I'm going to feed. Thought I might have got one. There we are feeding. Oh, one just swirled then. Right, I think we're going to have to come shallow on this line. So what I'm going to do, right, what I'm going to do now, because I've got the bottom and I'm quite happy with the depth, at the depth, but I want to see if I can catch these hides shallow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wind in and and I'm really happy with the depth. So if I want to go back on the bottom, I'm going to put that in the hook holder. And now I know when I plumbed up it was to the 5th eye, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mark with a marker on the rod, like that, so I know if I want to go back down the bottom, I've got my mark, I know exactly where to go. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to shallow off. I'm probably going to fish 3 foot deep, because I don't want to miss out on these hide. They're actually 2 and 3 foot deep. So I'm going to go to my bulk, where my terminal tattle, where the bulk one. I'm going to go to that. So you can see now, I'm literally fishing with float, probably 3 foot deep, like that. Right, let's see if we can catch, see if we get an hide. Because I did see one swirl at the bait then. And if they're a poundish, you just don't want to miss out on them. So if I don't get one in 2 casts, I'll go back to the depth. But because I've actually marked it, I know what to go back to. So let's have a look, see what happens. Over, wind it back. Now let's see what happens. Well, that first cast we out feeding, just to see if we catch one, but we didn't catch one. Oh, I'm swirling at it now. Are they hide or are they roach? No, I haven't caught a roach. So I won't be surprised if they are these hide, because that's how they feed. Now the fact they're swirling at maggots, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to change my feeding system. Because I've been feeding on the bottom, and because I want the bait to go on the bottom, and now I know there's fish in the water, I'm going to change my feeding system. What I'm going to do, I'm going to wind in, put it at the casting position. I'm going to get my catapult, pick some maggots up, and I'm going to fire the maggots in, like that. And I'm then going to cast my waggler. Oh my God, look at that! On top of the maggots. So what you're trying to do, oh, missed it. What you're trying to do now, fire the maggots and get them there, and then cast on top. That would about an indication. So now I've just cut my maggots down a few, because I want to make them competitive. I don't want to feed them too much. But you can see them now, wow. So just overcast a fraction, wind it back. Now I'm holding the rod now, because if I'm going to catch one, it'll be very quick. So I'm not putting the rod, look at that indication. It might just be a little bit too shallow, probably not quite 3 foot. So I thought I'd have caught one by now, but I did have an indication there. Oh, another indication. Now because I'm fishing shallow and not on the bottom, I'll probably cast in more often. I'll leave it a minute, because that's typical of fishing shallow. So all I'm going to be doing is winding in, drop it at casting position, few maggots. I'm not firing as many as what are on the bottom now. And look at them swirling. I'm just wondering whether they're hide or roach. But whatever they are, the fish. There you go, what's this one? This feels like a roach, it doesn't feel like a an IDI. Perch, would you believe that? Well, they're not perch, they're swirling at it, so that were a perch, so let's keep trying. About time now. I've changed my feeding system, so I'm picking my catapult up. Maggots, fire them in air, pick it up. And all I'm trying to do is get my hook bait in the middle of them. Oh, crikey. Is get the hook bait in the middle of them. I might just put it a little bit deeper. Because even though they're shallow, sometimes you can fish too shallow and it don't fall right. That's, oh, got one. There you go. Hidey hi, oh, I didn't want that one anyway. But there's some fish there now. Right, it's weird, isn't it? I've got all them fish shallow, and I've only had, I think I only hooked 2 wide. There could be roach, but I don't think they are. So what I'm doing, I'm going back on bottom just for my own peace of mind, just to see if they, because sometimes you can fish too shallow and don't catch them. What you've got to do is drop it through them and intercept it as it's dropping. So I'm just going to have a look at that. Meantime, I've been feeding. I've been feeding my inside line there. I've got pole set up when I've been putting squeeze ready green in, because I'm expecting to catch some tench there, and I've been throwing a few maggots on top with a little bit of corn and yellow sensate dye, and I put a few pellets in as well, but not many. So I've been feeding that side of it. So I'm going to see if they've if they're easy to catch at a better depth, and they are sometimes. So let's see what happens, because the first few I caught like this as it were dropping through, but they weren't swirling for my bait then. So let's see what happens. Let's see if they take it better, and they do sometimes. If you find the feeding level, let's say an example, it's 3 foot. What happens is sometimes, if you fish 3 foot, you don't catch them, and it's got to fall through the 3 foot to catch them, and that's what might be happening. You know, sometimes, not so much with F1s and carp, but certainly with silverfish, it's better to drop through that depth and they intercept it, and you get it on the way down. Let's just see what happens. But, at the same time, what I've been doing, I've just been getting a little ball of squeeze ready like that. Just a little, just a little bit. I've been throwing it there, the side of them reeds, and I've been putting 2 or 3 grains of corn on top, like that, and a few maggots, and see what happens. So, although I'm fishing out there, fishing for everything, when I go down there, I think we'll get a few tinkers and maybe a crucian. So let's see. But there's one thing about it, there's plenty of fish here. See, that's gone under. Now then, what's this? A perch. I hope it's not a perch, it is. Oh, that's a shame. That tells me that bait's not getting to the bottom. So, I know it's a fish, but while you've got all them hide there, you're going to be catching them hide. So let's see what happens. We'll have another go. And then we'll be having a look at the pole in the side, see what happens. Right, that didn't take long, crikey. We've been catching them hide, and I thought I'll just have a quick drop on where I've been feeding, and oh, what we got here? What's this? Not sure what it is, this. And it's gone first cast. What is it? Oh, it's a great big hide. Oh my God, look at that. Must be £3 that. That's first, honestly, it wasn't in the water 20 seconds. I thought it were a tench. Oh my, this is a great big hide. Look at that. This is first drop. I've been putting squeeze ready green in, a few pellets and maggot. Look at that. Oh, look at that beauty. Oh my goodness, that must be £3 that. Great big eye, look at that, what a beauty. That's a Bobby Dazzler, that one. I can't pick it up, it's a good £3. One of the biggest I'd have ever caught that, to be honest with you. I don't want to pick it up, look at that. Wow. First chuck. Oh my goodness, right. Let's do it again. All I did, I've got, like I said, I've been fishing down there. I've just been a little bit of squeeze ready, green, the green one, and I've been throwing, like I said, a bit of corn and a bit of hemp, and because I'm thinking tench, cruises, I wasn't thinking hide. I've been catching hide out there at Waggler, but not like that. Crikey, that's a Bobby Dazzler, that one. Put 2 maggots in, and all I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a few maggots in my little pole pot. I'm not going to throw them in now. Like when I'm fishing, I like to use a pole pot and a bit of squeeze ready green like that. First chuck, honestly, it wanted 15 seconds. Honestly, I'm only fishing 4 metres, and we're fishing in between the reeds, so I'm going to position my float that I'm going to feed. So all I'm doing, when I want to fish, when I'm going to put my whip, a bit of green at maggots, and I'm going to give it 10-second rule in it, like that. Let it settle on my stuff, and then we're fishing. There you go, indication straight away. Indication and a bite straight away then. Let's see what happens. There you go. Oh, what we got here? Would you believe it's a perch? Oh, I don't want you. I can't get over that hide. It's a proper one, that. There you go. I'll be very disappointed if I don't hook a cruisy and a tench or two there. Indication again. So there's fish coming to the bait straight away. I'm getting indications, and all I'm waiting for is a proper bite. Well, I've just had that lovely. It's a proper one, £3 plus. I'm not sure I've ever caught one that big. I've done at some point, especially if I'm in abroad, but I don't think I have in England. And see what happens, see if any more better fish. I'm expecting, like I said, I think we might get a tench or a cruy, but I'm getting indications, but it tends to be, looks like it's at perch soup at the moment now. So keep well, that won't perch. Look at the maggots all mangled up with that one to perch. So it might have been a cruy again. There's an hide or something. That were all mangled, which is not a perch. Perch don't mangle it like that. So keep putting some maggots in. I'm still excited over that hide, to be honest with you. Bobby Dazzler, that. A few maggots, bit of squeeze ready green. Just keep feeding. And I'm sure at some point I'll be gobsmacked if we don't get some tench there and some crucians. Just perfect for it, innit? In them reeds, nice little spot. Might just have to get rid of all perch first. Put your bait in it. It's one of them where sometimes when them perch are there, you don't want to get bites early because you know it'd be a perch. Whereas now, like I ain't had a bite, so it tells me my bait's on bottom, and hopefully a tench or two are moving. Oh, there you go. What's that? Well, they're not bad perch. They're 2 to 4 ounce anyway, so it's so, you know, it's not we're grumbling. It's just that we don't want them today. Just got to get to catch them all out, I think. Ooh, look at that. Oh, hey, oh, that were a rud, that. That were a rud, that come off. Little rud. Nice to catch that to show you, because they're a really colourful rud. Keep putting them in. Now that squeeze ready. It's come straight out of the bag. I've not done out with it. And pellets. There you go. Just keep putting a bit in. You might think, oh, why are you putting ground bait in? Well, I'm putting ground bait in because tension's ground bait. And over all years I've ever fished, the best way I've ever caught tench is ground bait and maggots. Caught them on other baits, but ground bait and maggots has been my most consistent. There you go. I mean, look at that. It's 4 or 5 ounce perch. I don't want to catch them, but if they're that big, you don't mind. But yeah, maggots and ground bait with tench for me. I've always caught better like that. It's I don't know why. One of the things I always do when I go tench fishing, I always put ground bait in. But I don't associate ground bait with crucians. You know, I associate crucians with loose feed. I'm putting both in, really. Right, my rig for today is pretty straightforward, to be fair. It's just a standard rig. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not a complicated person. So the hook length is 0.11 and it's 30 centimetres long. And then I've got loop to loop. It's a size 16 hook, barbless, loop to loop, and then I put a number 10 stot above the loop, running onto the loop. So that's my first shot. And then 30 centimetres above that, 30 millimetres above that is another stot. And then 30, oh sorry, I've got that wrong, let me start again. It's not 30 centimetres, so it's 15, I got it all wrong. Right, start again. Right, rig I'm using today is pretty standard, pretty straightforward. It's not complicated. If you know me, I don't try to complicate things. The hook length, 15 centimetres, 6 inches. It's a 16 hook to 0.11. And it's 0.11. It's simply so I can catch all sorts of fish and catch hide, roach, tench, bream, whatever I'm catching. Loop to loop, which I think is always the best. And then above that, put a number 10 stot. 15 centimetres, 6 inches above that is another number stot, another number 10 stot. And 15 centimetres is the bulk of the shot. Rest of that shot will cock the float to 1/2 inch bristle. So basically they are the 3 spots that I have my terminal tackle. So it's 15 centimetres, 15 centimetres, 15 centimetres. You won't go far wrong if you stick to that. Then when you go up to the float, this is quite simply 0.4 for the float. It's a nice light float. It's about 5.5 foot deep. It's just a normal standard float with like an upside down rugby shape. 3 rubbers on the float, and all I'm trying to do is cock it so there's 1/2 bristle, that much. Now I've got a short bit of line, probably 30 centimetres to the elastic, which is a number 10 elastic. And then on that I've got my little pot which I'm feeding with. And that's my setup. It's pretty standard, pretty straightforward. It's not complicated. And that's all. The main line is 0.15 and the milk length is 0.11. And it's as simple as that, really. And all I'm doing, I'm hooking either two maggots on or a little piece of corn. It depends what I'm fishing for. And it's as simple as that, really. Well, I've been I'm fishing up pole. I've got that big-eyed first cast, and then I'm just going perch, 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 perch. So I've been feeding a bit of corn. So I'm going to put a piece of corn on. I'm putting a few grains in. I thought to keep feeding them maggots, might get rid of it, but they're still there. So feeding a bit of corn, squeeze ready green, and see if we can catch one on that. And let's be honest, potential of corn. Well, what I don't like corn, to be honest with you. Hopefully not perch. And it might just allow me to be a bit more positive. And you'll know pretty quick, because I've been feeding bits of, 4 and 5 grains all the time. It might just be a bit more like a little dink then. Little dinky do. Might be a bit more patient, but usually when you start on a new bait, if they like it, you'll catch them pretty quick. But let's face it, Tench love corn, Crucians love corn. Hey, look what we got. First chuck. What is it? Oh my God, it's a great big bream. Oh, look at that. I wasn't expecting that. Come here. Oh, 3 pound bream. That first chuck. Corn. Look at that. Look at that. Look at them. They farm that one, but you take them every day a week. So, just that change has got rid of them perch, and it's given me a chance of catching bigger fish, which is what the target. So, let's get in again. Right, my bait's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I've got squeeze ready pellets, micros they're already done straight from the bag. I've got squeeze ready green, which is that one, which I've been using, to be honest with you, straight out of the bag. And then I've got my corn, which I've been putting that yellow bait dye in it. I'll just put that in it. It makes it even yellower than it is. Plus, I think fish love the taste of sensei. And then I've got my maggots, which I put the red dye in them. I've been putting that in as well. And that's all I've got today. I don't really need much more. And I've been feeding on the waggler. I will loose feeding them, catching them eyed. And then when I've come in the side in here, I've been putting corn and squeeze ready. I was putting maggots in to start with, but I was getting perched off. So I cut them down, started putting corn in. It cut them out and started catching bream and other fish. And I wasn't catching as many fish, but there were better fish that I was catching. So the corn with the squeeze ready with the bait today. For me, that were head and shoulders with anything else. However, on the waggler, we're using just 2 maggots for catching them nice eyed. So simple as that, really. It's not complicated. It's pretty straightforward fishing. There you go. What we got here? What we got here? Better fish anyway, whatever it is. What is it? Oh, it's an IDI. Look at that. Oh, it's £1 plus anyway. Oh, it is, yeah, it's a nice fish. Over £1. Look at that, beautiful. I just put that a bit closer into it, reeds. Right. Lovely fish. There we go. And that's in a piece of corn. And I've been fishing corn because I'm getting fed up with perch. And I wanted to get rid of them, which I did. Certainly I haven't had a perch since, and I've had some better fish, so it worked. But there we go. Just keep putting corn in and And a bit of green. Squeeze ready, there you go. That's it. I can fish resist that. So I'm just pulling it a bit further, trying to get it a bit further into the reeds now. Because it's warm, just might be in a bit of cover. Indication straight away. It's only swimming into it. Oh, proper indication then. There we go. What we got here? Is it another hide? Catching hide on the corn. Oh, it is, yeah. It's a good one though. You never grumble at catching these. This size. Look at that. Oh, that's the daft thing is, that's probably 12 ounce, so I've had a pound 12 in a few minutes. So you can't grumble at that. And it's pretty straightforward. All I'm doing is a piece of soaked, sensate soaked corn. Just hooking it gently. I'm not air rigging it or all like that, just hooking it. Putting a few grains in my little pot and just green squeeze ready, like that, making them come into it. If you're catching decent fish like that, you know, you don't have to worry. We're just them wanting some better fish. I've just gone a little bit further into the reeds. What we've got here? Another good fish. See what this is? That's a better fishing peg now anyway. And that last fish. Not sure what it is, this. Is it a crucian? Oh no, I think it's a great big hide again. It is, yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh, crikey. Well, you never get fed up of catching them. Look at that. £2 again, that, isn't it? Look at that. Oh, you little beauty. Oh, oh, oh. Oh. It's £2 again, that. Look at that. Look at them. Right, one of the things we've noticed is when we've rested it, the first cast back, or first little spell when you've had a rest, seem to catch 2 or 3. Whether it's because it's a bit clearer, and our David said exactly the same on tip. He's got to move away, and so this is my first cast after a while. I've had a dink there. But our David said on tip he's got to move away, then go back on it, and you catch 2 or 3. And I've noticed that with waggler and pole. So I'll give it a 20-minute rest, and it's his first cast back. So oh, that was a dink. So let's see what happens, see if it works this time. I mean, in fact, it's just a little bit clearer, that's all. But definitely, oh look, I'm getting quite a few signs now. Definitely some fish there again. One little beauty. Go on, get under. Go on, go on. There you go, look what we got. Oh, hey up. What is it? Is it an hide? Looks like an hide. It's still a nice hide. Yeah. Is it an ad? Oh, it is, yeah. Oh, it's a roach. Oh, it's a lovely roach. That's nearly a pound, that. Look at that. That's an eye. Very similar. Is it a roach? It's nice, a roach. Come on, mine up then, because it's like a slim roach. So, that was first cast back. So, it's one of the things that I'm a big believer in, that is resting and the first cast. But the first cast, when you go back, is always really important. Really important. And it's the one where, especially in a competition, when I have the first cast, when I go back after a rest, I never ever do anything. I don't have a cup of tea or anything, because that's when, if you're going to catch one, that's when you'll catch it. So the first cast back is really, really important. Now, it were a roach, but it were a nice roach. There you go, my pal. Well, I can honestly say I have had a fantastic day. Honestly, an absolutely belting day. This is what fishing's about, really, this kind of place. Ravenfield Ponds, £81.50 a year. A year. Not a day, not a week, not a month, a year. It's looked after you like you can't believe. And the people who own this, it's treated as their own. It's in the middle of nowhere, it's beautiful. You just feel so comfortable, so relaxed, just sat here. There's only a couple of carp lakes, there's not many carp. If you want to catch tench, bream, hide, silverfish, crucians, this is the place. £81, I can't believe it's £81 a year. It's fantastic, absolutely loved it. So, I'm going to finish up on that tench. Our Dave has got a sack full as well, so I'm going to go down now, see what we both got. But I can honestly say I have absolutely loved every minute of that today. It's been fantastic.